to everybody for our very first interview with WiseOceans. We're thrilled to have Juliana Corrales, is that right?
Yes, Corralles. That's perfect.
Who is going to chat to us tonight, and we're following very much the same structure as you may have seen on our interviews with WiseOceans on our website. We have nearly, I think, approaching 150 interviews with people from a whole range of careers in marine conservation, a really valuable resource for anybody looking to get into it, already in there, not quite sure where they're going. And now we're moving on to Facebook Live, because this is the world we're living in now. So we're thrilled with that. And so I'm going to be asking questions to Juliana tonight, and I can see we've already got some questions coming in on the chat as well, so we'll be feeding those in as and when we can. So let's get started. Otherwise I just, I chat a lot. Because how I got this job. So I'm going to start with the very first question, which is what inspired you to pursue a career in marine conservation? Because it's great, but it's tricky. So what inspired you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very honored to be the first.
Yes.
Yeah. So just to give some context, I am currently working as a creative consultant in design and communications. I graduated from graphic design and visual communications. And after a few years, I did a master's focused on natural resource management. But basically, to go back to your question, that was just to give a bit of context. But then,
oh, that's great.
I am and have been like always very passionate about the interaction between humans and the oceans, and like why some of us feel a connection and others don't, what marks that difference. So I think this passion stemmed from my own relationship with the ocean, as it has played a major role in my life, influencing many aspects of what I do, who I am, and basically like even day-to-day decisions. Also, I was born in Costa Rica, which I think it brings me very close. I've inevitably been
You're never far from the sea there, really, are you?
Yeah, well, in the city, I grew up in San Jose. It's like 4 hours, 2 hours.
Okay.
But yeah, we visited the ocean since I was a little girl. So thanks to my parents for that. But then also through that interaction, I was able to witness the change the oceans were going through. And unfortunately, it wasn't a very positive change. So I decided I wanted to take action and make this like part of my day-to-day life.
Okay.
And yeah, ever since I graduated from graphic design, which is something like people would say it's not very related to marine conservation, but I felt that there was something there, that the skills that I was gaining could be useful to change behaviors and influence people in a more profound way, rather than just like selling products. So yeah. It just took me a while to figure it out, but
I don't think you're alone there. I think a lot of people take one direction and then think, well, yeah, it's not quite what I thought it was going to be. So I think we have probably quite a lot of people, quite a lot of viewers who perhaps are in the same position. So hopefully you can inspire them.
Hopefully, yes.
What steps did you take to, or are you taking to achieve, you're a creative consultant now, and I know you've worked with organizations around the world, but so what steps did you take to kind of make this your career goal, make it happen? I can't speak tonight, sorry.
No.
My job.
So yes, so I worked as a graphic designer back in the day in a small agency at the beginning, very small agency, and then mostly as a freelancer. So those were my first steps. And I did some art and stuff along the way, always like related to the ocean. But then after working a few years, I convinced myself that the next step for me to achieve my kind of lifelong dream to bring people closer to the ocean was to continue my studies. And that was my decision. I don't think that is the recipe, but that's what my process. I was like, I need to know more. If not, I won't be accepted in this world. So I went and I did a master's, which is a bit of a mouthful. It's in environment development and peace, with a focus on natural. Sorry?
So say again.
Environment development and peace.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Yeah, with a focus on natural resource management. So it was in the UPeace. UPeace is the United Nations mandated university in Costa Rica.
Oh, perfect.
So yeah, the masters are a bit like a mouthful, but it was basically like my way in. And
to be able to move sideways or diagonally.
Yes, because that's, I always think that I need to learn, and that's how my sub process goes. And then after that, I had to do an internship to graduate from the master's, and my whole evil plan was to do it outside of Costa Rica. I wanted to experience new things, and after a long time on the internet, I found Reef-World, the Reef-World Foundation. And so it was with them that I started this new chapter in my life. I managed to do a 6 months internship with them, helping them branding, communications. It was just things aligned. They were at that point where they wanted to work into improving their branding, their communications. And so after my internship, I stayed on and worked with them, and I'm still working with them. Now as a consultant, I was their communications manager for a few years, like 4 to 5 years, 4 years.
Yes, I remember working with you there.
Yes. So yeah, my first interview with you guys was when I was with Reef-World.
Yeah.
And we were promoting, releasing the how-to videos. We were doing some videos. You helped us promote.
And I have to say, people should check out work you've done with Reef-World, with Green Fins, because just some really fantastic communication about how to get people involved and being responsible in what they're doing in the ocean. I love. I'm a big fan.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But yeah, since then I've been able to materialize that idea that I had in uni, that I was like, I know I can do more with the skills that I had. And Reef-World also gave me the opportunity, and we kind of like needed each other at
right place, right
time. Yeah. Exactly. I was very lucky to find them.
I think I'm going off script here a little, but I think, a lot of conservation organizations, they need a range of people that work for them. They don't just need out and out marine biologists. In fact, I think we had a question right at the beginning. Let me just find it, hold on. From Sal, who says, can you become a marine biologist if you're not an academic or have passion rather than formal education? So, yours is a slightly different route, and I also have a similar kind of sideways attraction.
Yeah.
I think absolutely having there are all kinds of skills that are needed by organizations, especially small organizations as well, which many marine conservation organizations are, and they need those specialist skills of IT and communications and
exactly
mechanics, fixing boats and things like that. So
and what happens is that usually for small NGOs there may not be the budget at the time to hire all these specialists, but as they grow and time goes by, they will be able to start reaching out, or even you can start freelancing for them, even not maybe hired as part of the team, but you can like start different way. I wouldn't call myself a marine biologist. I think I am a conservationist.
Yes.
And have learned a lot with my colleagues, which are marine biologists.
I think in a way that's going to be one of the things we come back to tonight, is that it's marine conservation is a wide, a very wide area really, and involves absolutely the academics and a marine biologist doing the scientific work and research, and many people who support them in lots of different ways. So
exactly.
I digress, but it's the nature. So how did you secure your current position, what you're doing now? So you're now freelance and working as a creative consultant. How did that work work for you?
So yeah, I was thinking, so I noted down like 3 points. So I think bringing a new perspective is also very useful. So when I started back then, I was the only non-marine biologist in the team from a totally different professional and cultural background. So I think that is one thing that helped me in particular. Also believe that the knowledge that you have is valuable because you come from such a different perspective that it will bring like a new way of thinking. Also,
I think that's a
yeah,
really good point, to believe in what you can bring. Absolutely.
yeah, because I remember I was very like I don't know how do you say like scared of being like, okay, but I don't know, I feel like I
Imposter
don't know.
syndrome.
Yeah, maybe. And also as designers, like we're creatives, like musicians as you, like we solve problems through a combination of like analytic and creative thinking, which can be very different to a scientific mind, for example.
Yeah.
And yeah, also like being open to try new experiences, um, jobs or like things that you've never done. That was a lot of my work. For example, when I was trained as a green fins assessor with Reef-World, and it was totally new for me. It was like implementing this initiative, sustainable data initiative, and it took me out of my comfort zone. But then all of those experiences with the people, with the industry, fed back so much more to the work I was doing as a creative and gave me like better context.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think thanks to that, I'm now able, to work with more people and be more confident in that what I do is actually useful for an NGO and a marine
I
conservation.
can't think of any marine conservation organizations who don't need fantastic visuals and communication strategies and things like that. It's absolutely the key. The way, here we are on Facebook Live, connecting with people. It's a tricky thing to do, and you need people who know what they're doing and they can help bring along organizations as they grow. Absolutely.
Yeah, and sometimes, for example, now I also work with an organization called the Ocean Acidification Alliance. It's another client, and there are some aspects of conservation and like coral bleaching or ocean acidification that can be a bit abstract, and sometimes they need like a bit more communicating on a more everybody's language and images, or to make it more less abstract and more understandable.
Scientists. I love scientists. I work with scientists. I'm not a scientist myself, but scientists are not always. Some are fabulous communicators, but some need a little encouragement.
Yeah. And also communicating to people who aren't from the scientific world is very different, right?
Exactly. Share, and the more we share research and information with everybody, the more people will know, the more they'll care, the more they'll hopefully get engaged and so on.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just going to check questions again before we move on to our next section, because otherwise we'll get a little out of. Sal says, my son is absolutely in love with the ocean. What can I do to help him? I mean, this is, I guess, not your, not necessarily aimed at your particular expertise, but any advice for Sal?
That I think exposing us to the ocean and interacting with the ocean will just bring maybe that passion closer to his skin.
Passion's everything, isn't it? It drives you.
Yeah, and then the sun, right?
Yes.
I think that will like fit into whatever decisions he'll make in the future. Absolutely. Hopefully.
A trip to the ocean, trip to the seaside, never wasted.
I think, yeah, creating that link. I think that I'm very interested in those links that we create with the ocean from when we're very young, or like when that click moment happens, can influence what you do. And it might not be marine conservation, but it can be some sort of conservation or some sort of, just working towards a more sustainable future.
Absolutely. And we have a handful of questions. Some, we're not going to be able to get to all of these, I'm afraid, but I know we get also questions sent to us a lot of the time about, you know, what courses in my last year of high school, what classes should I take? You know, a lot of that is, you know, it depends. If you are going on to study marine biology, then you'll need to look at the universities and courses that you go to and to see what you need. Generally speaking, you know, if you do want to get into marine biology on the science side of things, you will need to study science and maths and biology, you know, and take that through high school or A levels in the UK and see what colleges you want to go to and what they need. But keep it broad, I think. Keep a good range of skills.
Yeah, and also like depends on what you're passionate at the end. For example, when I was making those decisions, I've always been very creative. I love painting. But then that was my struggle. I was like, if I do graphic design, I even started studying like tourism, more like towards tourism and stuff, because I was like, no, I want to live by the sea. But then those weren't my skills, and I realized that on my second week of being there, and I was like, no, this is not my thing. So I went back and started studying graphic design, and then, which is what I do, and I really enjoy doing creative stuff, doing like painting, but then at the end, if you start channeling it and just, I kind of find my way. We can all find our way with our own skills.
Fantastic.
Passions.
Yeah. Okay, we've got loads of questions, but I'm going to get through some of our questions first. I'll try and if we can't answer them all tonight, we'll get through and we'll answer them on the text as well. So
yes.
So I have a question. Which part of your job do you enjoy the most?
Well, I truly enjoy using my skills for a bigger purpose, and being able to do that every day. So, also like elevating like NGOs, branding and communications in a way that it truly represents the value and scale of their work, because sometimes they do amazing things in the ground, but they don't have a way of communicating it.
Yeah.
So you're not only giving a voice and a face to the NGO, but also their mission, the people behind it, the ecosystems behind it. So I find that very rewarding. And also by working in marine conservation, I feel like you inherently become more in touch with nature. So thanks to all my colleagues and the different experiences I've encountered, I've developed like a wider and like deeper understanding of the marine environment. So
always a good thing.
Always a good thing, yes.
It kind of brings me on to my next question, which is, you know, are there aspects of what you do that make you feel that you're making a difference?
Yeah, so I think knowing that every time that I come and sit down on my computer and that it has the purpose of conserving the marine environment, building a better understanding, and like most importantly, those relationships that I've been talking about, like fills me with joy, even though I don't enjoy that much being in front of my computer, which is a bit ironic.
But a surprising amount of marine conservation happens behind a computer.
A lot, yeah.
Even in fantastic locations in the field, people do spend a lot of time with statistics and Excel and
admin,
blogging and doing photographs and all of that kind of stuff.
Yes. So yeah, that can be, and also I've been able to get to know many people from many different paths in life, professions, countries, and with the same passion. So feeling that we've all had that click moment and that we're aware of this connection. And it's always just very nice and encouraging to know that you're not alone, that you're not just, because it can be overwhelming, and knowing all the bad things that are happening also can be very overwhelming, and you can lose faith in society sometimes.
Well, but even more reason for great communication, to get people inspired rather than people being kind of like just overwhelmed and thinking, well, I can't do anything, so there's no point doing anything.
Exactly, which can be a big reaction, especially if you think of like plastic pollution. And so yeah, it's that part of knowing that there's a group of people working for the same purpose has been quite encouraging.
And there was just a quick reply, I think, to a question about how, how can you inspire somebody about the ocean when you don't live near the ocean. But I think, there's so many ways to get involved, and there's so much, there's so many documentaries you can watch. Dive into the classroom program sessions that people can come on,
for example.
But plug there. But there's always ways of and like with one of the things I say to the kids I have on my sessions is, it doesn't matter if you live in the middle of 4 hours away from the ocean, because the litter you drop there, or the other people drop, goes down the storm drains, into the rivers, into the seas. Everything's connected, and wherever we live, we can make an impact on the oceans.
Yeah, exactly. It's all super connected. It's just very funny how, if we don't see it or we don't feel that connection, it seems like it's not part of our lives. But at the end, it's not like every second breath we take comes from the ocean. And basically how like we are intrinsically connected to it. Like our planet, it's 70% oceans. Like a lot of the life on Earth is thanks to that ocean. Even if you eat fish, if you're eating that fish, it came from the ocean. Like there are many things to be thankful for from the ocean, even though you don't live close to it. Your life is super connected to it either way.
Exactly. Okay, I'm going to crack on because already we're running over time. I knew it would happen. So what are you thinking about advice now, because you're in a position where lots of people, or at a stage in your career where lots of people would like to be. What do you know now that you wish you knew when you were starting out? What nuggets of inspiration or advice can you give up and coming marine conservationists?
Yes, I would love to tell my young self that even though I was studying graphic design, or if you're studying archaeology or biology or whatever, it doesn't mean that you will be doing that forever. So I was very anxious of making decisions back then. So because I knew I wanted to live by the sea, and I was like, oh no, what will I do? But right now I find it fascinating, not only in my life, but to see all my close friends, to see how everybody starts to make their own professional paths in life and creating their own like unlabeled professions. So like, and they are shaped by their own specific skills and life experiences. So it's not only what you study in university, it's also what you go and do after that. So for example, in my case right now, I call it creative consultancy, because it encompasses mostly of what I do now, but who knows what will happen in a few years. And yeah, just as an example, when I decided to start diving, I never thought that it would turn into a part of my job. I did it because it sounded super fun. I love the ocean, so I wanted to interact more closely with the ocean, but it ended up opening many doors for me. And so yeah, you never know. You will continue building
opportunities.
Yes.
And are there any skills that you never thought you'd need but have been useful now?
Yeah, I think many, especially like I've been doing so many things that I never thought I would do. Like I did video editing, fundraising, a spokesperson, doing these kind of things. For example, you have to kind of practice. I've been like I assisted training for national governments, marine monitoring, photographer, just the list goes on, I think.
New skills, yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and sometimes it's super scary and you're like, oh my God, I don't think I can do this. Are they crazy to ask me to do this? But you learn.
Yeah, be willing to learn and have, I mean, I know a lot of organizations, especially when they're small, if you can come and you can bring, I can fly a drone, or I can take great pictures, or I can make a video for you. These are all fantastic additional skills that are going to be helpful to organizations, aren't they?
Yeah, and it can be hobbies or things that you just like to do, but can come handy later in life.
And kind of linked to that, what advice would you give? I mean, I'm really sorry we're not going to be able to get to a lot of these questions live today, but we've got a lot of people, you know, who are finishing degrees, you know, where they're trying to find internships and jobs and chances of getting it, because my daughter wants to be a marine biologist. Any tips or warnings? Warnings, it's addictive. But yeah, any kind of advice that you would give for people sort of starting out?
So it wasn't my case, but lots of people, yeah, like colleagues I met, they've done a lot of volunteering in NGOs, like even before starting to, like in between that gap, finishing university and starting like your ideal job and having like start gathering all those experiences that work for them. It wasn't my case, but I know I have seen it work, and we even did it back in the Philippines when I was with Reef-World. So yeah, but then for me, like things that I have guided me is like strive for like being happy and fulfilled. Yeah. So
let's not forget that.
Yeah, because actually that guided me. So have a good work-life balance, and our jobs make up a big part of our life. So it made sense for me to just focus those energies into something that would make me feel fulfilled, which was doing something for the ocean. So I just started guiding all my energies towards that. So working for something that gives our lives a purpose is completely worth, and I think it's also a privilege. That
absolutely, yeah. And it doesn't, I think a lot of people, you know, it can be as simple as organizing a beach clean sometimes, as, you know, starting to get involved and network with others and just doing something that has purpose, that kind of keeps that fire burning, because it can be a little overwhelming and kind of, you know, if they're, you know, if it's super competitive and tough, you know, just by keeping involved, I think is really.
Mm-hmm. And you will start meeting people that are similar to you, and then you'll start making that network. And yeah, and then follow your instincts. Like if I think you feel like you want to do something like that, start studying marine biology, and if you don't like it, you will switch, and then but then you will find your way back into it. Yeah. I follow that inner voice inside me that has told me to take the right next step. Sometimes it's super nerve-wracking, like moving to a whole new country in the other side of the world. But then having that clear goal and like your mind and soul set into it, I think it will help you achieve those goals. Yeah. And I think getting out of your comfort zone is one of the things that have given me the most like personal and professional growth.
I think that's really coming across tonight, that, you know, being able to just pushing yourself and seeing what opportunities come. I think that's really great advice for people.
Yes, I think it's just moving like to a new country, studying something new, shifting your career. Even this year when I did this sailing with X Expedition, there was just sailing.
I haven't even talked about that. Would you like to tell people what you did? Because it's really exciting.
So, well, yeah, just before the pandemic started, I was very lucky to be selected as one of the volunteers that go as part of this X expedition around the world. So it was the ultimate get out of the comfort zone experience. So I was the first Costa Rican to join. X Expedition is an NGO that does all-female sailing research expeditions to investigate the causes and solutions of ocean plastic. And yeah, so it was of course stopped because of the pandemic, but it's supposed to go all around the world, from starting in the UK and finishing back, going down through the Atlantic, all the way around.
And which part did you do?
So I did the 7th leg, so the 7th chapter, let's say, from Galapagos to Easter Island.
I'll just say that again, Galapagos to Easter Island. Yeah. How fantastic does that sound?
It feels unreal that I went to those places. It's just.
Did you have good weather?
I had great weather, yes, it was very lucky.
Better.
But so yeah, it was just a very empowering experience. It was like 14 women out at sea, crew, everybody. So all of us were women trying to better understand the plastics problem and our place in bringing a solution. And one like very relevant aspect of this is that all of us were from very different career paths. So I worked in conservation, but there was a lawyer, just people, an artist, a psychologist. So all of us had different places in society, and the whole point of this is for us to find like our superpower and like find our place in the whole puzzle, because there's like no one solution, right? So
yeah, it's not absolutely, it's not just, we don't just need marine, we absolutely need marine biologists and scientists, but it needs everybody. It needs government, it needs lawyers, it needs people drafting strategies and policies and things like that. So very exciting.
So yeah.
Well, coming up to our final couple of questions, and we get to one of my favorite, which is, what's your favorite marine creature and why?
I find that a tough question because it's always changing,
question, right?
But I think for now, at the moment, humpback whales are on the top of my list. They're just such humongous creatures that seem so different, but at the same time are so similar to us.
Have you swum with them or seen them yet?
I was very lucky to. I've had encounters with humpback whales. So in Costa Rica, we have this national park called Marino Ballena, which is like where they come to have their calves, to have their babies. And so you have these amazing sightings, and one calf started jumping. It was just the most wonderful experience. But I've never swam with them, so that's still in my bucket list. But I did manage to hear them sing on one of my first dives ever, so that was quite beautiful.
What a first dive! That's amazing.
Yes, I think
sets the bar high, though, doesn't it?
I know. It's just we're very lucky that in Costa Rica there's this passage in the Pacific that they just go from north to south. So yes, I did my open water course there in the North Pacific of Costa Rica.
I've just added something to my bucket list as well.
yes, definitely. This national park is insane.
Which brings me on to the final question, and maybe we've covered it there, I don't know, but what is your most unforgettable moment in the sea?
Oh yeah, that's another one. So I'm always looking to be like in close interaction with the ocean, so enjoy different ways of enjoying it. It can be diving, snorkeling, stand-up paddling, but I even did a surfing photography workshop when I was younger. But I think I will choose this year that my sailing experience with X Expedition will forever be a life-changing experience. It challenges you in many different ways, because it was the first time I was sailing ever.
Oh wow.
And it seems when you say, I was out at sea for 15 days, but basically like 2 weeks.
That's
before
a good experience.
Yes, and I remember before leaving, I was like, oh, it's such little time. And then when you're out there and the boat is tilted to an angle the whole time, and it's also rocking, and so everything is a challenge. Cooking, having a wee, having a tea, everything is a challenge.
Yeah,
but it was amazing. I would never change it, and it was also a very nice bonding time between all of us. And there's something particularly magical about sailing, that you have the ocean like on 360 24/7, and it's just a different kind of amazing experience.
Fantastic. We actually just had a question from Beth, who said, could you say the organization you sailed with again? I think we have a link to it in one of the posts we had today.
Yes.
Could you just say it again?
Yeah, it's called X Expedition. So it's like expedition with a chromosome XX, which is all women.
Expedition. Yeah, I'm sure we tagged them in something earlier today, and it's in one of our posts, and we'll reply to as many questions that we didn't get around to. I'm very sorry if we haven't, but we will get to them and reply in due course as well. So Well, that brings us to an end to this inaugural interview with WiseOcean. I want to thank you so much for joining us, Juliana, because you know, you bring so many different aspects into your career, and I think it's really helpful for people who are not marine biologists and for those who are marine biologists, to encourage them to, you know, bring all of those skills into the world, because there's no one solution, is there?
Yes, it's a very complex ecosystem with many problems attacking it, unfortunately. So we need more and more people, and yeah, I'm very humbled and very, thank you so much. And I just hope I get to inspire a lot of new conservationists.
Absolutely. Well, as I say, there's been some great questions, and we'll get to those, and I'm sure there'll be lots of people watching this afterwards as well. So once again, thank you to Juliana. Thank you to everybody who's joined us tonight and asked questions, and we will be coming back for this in another month, just about on Tuesday the 8th of December. At 6 o'clock, we will be meeting Professor Louise Alcock, and she works currently with Nekton. So this involves deep sea environments, submersibles, submarines. So a very different kind of focus from what we've been talking about today. So come back and see us here on Facebook Live and join us with Professor Louise Alcock. And in when was that, the 8th of December, we'll make an event and you can sign up for it. So once again, thank you, and we'll say goodbye to all our viewers today, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, thank you so much.
Bye.